Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. You know, is it within your power to lock this great panel into a room with no bathroom breaks or windows and have it come out with that bill we want?
I don't know. We should write a bill to make.
Well, I want to thank the panel. I especially want to recognize Wendy Morgan, who's been a great member of the Attorney General's office in the state of Vermont for years. And of course, Vermont has been a leader on this. A lot of our small businesses are just getting hammered. And we've got to do something, bottom line. We just have to do something. It's outrageous when you're a MyWeb grocer or another small company and you're getting these rip-off patent letters. We had a nonprofit that some parents with disabled kids started, and they scrape together money, bake sales, everything, and they get these rip-off patent letters. So it is a problem. But the fact it's a problem, we don't want to come up with a solution that creates other problems. We get that. But the closed room with no windows, that's not a bad idea, because we do have to solve this, and I appreciate your leadership on this, Mr. Chairman. But let me ask Mr. Rogers and Mr. Potter, you know, the old tech companies that are reputable have valuable patents and they've got to protect them. We get that. And the new tech companies are oftentimes on the receiving end of some of these patent trolls. So there's legitimate interest on both sides, and it's legitimate, I understand, for you both to be looking at this from the perspective of the folks you represent. And it's a lot of the small guys in Vermont that are advocating this so vigorously. But we've got IBM, which is, you know, the biggest engine of our economy in the state. Very important. Is there a way to draft this that you both are satisfied?
So, Congressman, I'd be happy to answer that first. Absolutely.
Well, you know, I'm going to ask quite seriously the suggestion. You can help us on this, because I think this panel here wants to do something that solves the problem but doesn't create another one. And you have a collective knowledge and experience. You know what the reality is. But my request of you is that you really do spend some time trying to work out what those differences are. We're not going to do it right here, but I don't know, Mr. Chairman. I mean, that would be helpful to us, wouldn't it? Because our goal here is not just this bill, it's to get a bill that works. Well, and let me ask the professor, you want as little intervention as possible, and but here's my question. If as little intervention as possible means the status quo continues and our nonprofits and our small emerging tech companies are getting hammered and harassed and bled to death financially, that's not acceptable, and I wouldn't think it would be for you. So would you see there to be a need to provide some protection against the abuse of the process to protect those folks?
Oh, certainly, and I hope I've made it clear that I believe that the prohibitions on sending false and deceptive and misleading letters are acceptable and appropriate, and in fact do address, I think, the concerns that have been raised by some of the bad actors in the patent system. I think that the important principle, though, that we always have to remember is that costs are symmetrical. That, you know, and I think you've been touching on this, that to create systemic changes that address bad actors creates burdens and costs for good actors as well.
Yeah, but that's a drafting issue. I mean, to say that, basically, if we say that solving one problem is going to cause another, to me, there's two outcomes. One is you don't do anything, so then you keep a bad situation continuing for innocent people. Or if you fix it, you've really got to thread that needle and do the hard work to find a way where the good actors are protected and the bad actors are hammered.
Right.
Now, Ms. Morgan, on the preemption, you know, Vermont, Mr. Chairman, has a very active Consumer Protection Bureau, and it's helped small businesses and it's helped a lot of our consumers. So it's important for us in Vermont to maintain that ability for our Attorney General's office to protect our citizens and our small businesses, and the preemption issue is a big one. And I just want to give you a chance to speak a little bit more about that, Ms. Morgan.
In 19 seconds. No pressure.
Preemption, preemption, preemption. Don't do it.
Got it.
The states are The states want to protect the small businesses and the nonprofits that are, as you say, getting hammered. And we can do that under our Consumer Protection Act if you don't in some way interfere with that. So that's, my initial testimony was around being sure that you not interfere with it. And furthermore, if you want us to use this statute, it has to be in a form that is useful and doesn't create a lot of risk of litigation around peripheral issues. So I'm all in favor of locking us in a room. I think that's a good idea, and as you, Representative Welch, know, I spend a fair amount of time locked in rooms in the State House or in the cafeteria trying to resolve things in precisely that way, and it's an excellent way to go.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
yield back. Thank you,
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Kinsey?